What up? My name is Brad. Welcome back to 59Gaming. Today we're going to be sitting down talking about the future of Pokemon, where we're at right now. Got a couple people joining us though. We got the boy Hydros.
What's going on, everybody? How you doing?
We got Gale.
Hello. Looking forward to talking about this topic.
And the good old Gashatox.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys for having me today.
So essentially this is just going to be a little bit of, let's just talk about everything Pokemon. Whether it be the good, the bad, whatever, the current state. Roughly, we'll just kind of go through how we're feeling about Pokemon currently, what we want to see change in the future, and what's our ideal change. Keep this somewhere 15 to 20 minutes at most. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy long. So I'll kind of start off with my current vibe of Pokemon. Right now is good. The last year was a little rocky, I'll admit, because I don't mind Sword and Shield too much. I'm kind of a generic Pokemon fan in that sense. I think it was pretty good for what it was. Do I think it was absolutely phenomenal? No, I don't. As somebody who's played every single Pokemon game, including all the side games, I don't think it was phenomenal. But I also wasn't one of the people that was like, I hate trees. Didn't really bug me too much. I do think the Crown Tundra DLC is absolutely phenomenal, though. It's a really fun DLC, and a lot of people are like, well, there's not much to do, and it's like, there's never much to do. It's kind of when you put everything together and what it does. It does make it easier being a content creator as well, because I can stream it on Twitch and do whatever else. It's probably the footage we're using is probably just doing one of the raids with you guys over on Twitch on 59, and I dig that quite a bit. What are you guys thinking?
I think, like you mentioned, I don't necessarily have too much of a problem with Sword and Shield. Of course, my main problems come with some of the atmosphere and the lack of people at times, especially in the wild area. I think it's very evident that there's a lack of NPC trainers that you can fight during the course of Sword and Shield, and especially in the wild area. Of course, I understand it's to also accommodate for the fact that there are raids and your main source of EXP is from there rather than actual trainers, but I think having a fair balance of the two would have been appreciated. But I still love the game in general in terms of the music, the characters, the gym theme. It was a cool concept overall. And Brad mentioned, I personally haven't gotten Crown Tundra or basically the DLC as a whole. But from what I've seen from both Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra, you can tell there's a noticeable improvement in terms of what they've done with the overall landscape and the scenery effectively, which is a good step in the right direction. So yeah, no, I'm more on the positive side of Sword and Shield, but I still think there are flaws in the game that just detract from it.
Yeah, pretty much kind of feel the same way Gale's feeling with it. I think that they, originally the base Sword and Shield wasn't the greatest, but I mean, they've never really messed up the formula, right? That's one thing Pokemon's always had it going. I mean, they've always just expanded, the battling system and just stuff like that. So in that aspect, I mean, Sword was fine, but in terms of the wild area, it was a bit of a letdown because again, we didn't really have a whole lot of stuff going on out there. I mean, for example, the weather was all over the place on the same section, so it wasn't the coolest, but to me it definitely signifies that they're trying something, right? I want to say that the 9th generation, which we'll get into a bit later in this video, will definitely incorporate more wild areas. I'm sure they're going to expand a lot on it. I'm sure they're listening because again, the new DLC that dropped definitely is a step up from the base game. So I think they're definitely listening, and I think there's a lot of cool stuff coming. One thing that hurt some is that Sword and Shield was a bit rushed out, and we didn't really get much of a post game. But let's be honest, so the last couple generations, we haven't had a really good post game since 4th or 5th gen, I want to say. So in terms of
pretty much.
It's they're doing these DLCs now to compensate for that, but it's just the DLCs take so long to come out that I mean, the bad rep for Sword has been out for a bit, so it sucks that a lot of people aren't jumping back into it, but they did really try out the DLC, and I definitely think they are listening. It's just taking some time.
All right, Mr. Reggie Boy, what's your opinions?
All right, so now my first thing. Game is absolute trash because for Alligator gets left out of every single thing.
Bro.
Never gets anything.
Don't worry, bro.
Gen
Second gen is linked with
starters need
Fortune.
something.
It's happening, man. I got left out with Donphan too. He's one of like 70 Pokemon. That's not in it. I know.
Gen 2 never gets love, and it's
Bro, they
shocking.
do. I'm hoping, man, they get something.
Jokes aside with that, Sword and Shield is, I mean, it's the first generation on a brand new console. We've had the 3DS for years. We basically have kind of had the same format of how Pokemon has worked up from, you know, we did the Game Boy Color, then the Game Boy Advance, kind of the same kind of thing, just getting better and better in graphic wise and hardware wise. But then the DS and all that stuff came out. We got 2 screens, and then, you know, 3DS is kind of the same deal. So the hardware definitely has changed, and also now we have a more powerful console being able to deliver higher end 3D graphics. So this is literally their first time just developing on this brand new generation of consoles. So I kind of cut them some slack on that. And yeah, Sword and Shield at first was a massive, it almost seemed like it was a flop, but it really wasn't. Sword and Shield overall is still a good game. Graphics, I mean, I wish they could be better. Hopefully next time and the next games do get better. In comparison to like something like Let's Go, the graphics weren't like super insane, but I felt like they were just slightly better optimized for the game than Sword and Shields were.
It
Up
looked
until
more
the
polished.
DLCs at least.
It was
Up
more
until the
polished,
DLC.
okay.
Like the DLC for Sword and
Yep.
Shield is more polished out than the actual base game. So especially Crown Tundra. Crown Tundra looks absolutely like a lot better in my opinion than a lot of the base game did. But just a lot of that kind of just stuck out, and it, you know, just got to me a little bit and made it to where it's like, well, it's not the best. A lot of the gameplay, as a lot as like Gale and Gotcha said, a lot of the gameplay mechanics kind of, especially the lack of shiny hunting mechanics, is very disappointing in my opinion, because I love shiny hunting. Like, I don't want to just sit there and go fish or hatch some eggs all day. Like, the raid battles are cool. I just don't want to be tied to just a certain amount of different, like, I get it, it's also the gimmick of the game, right? They want you to play them. At the same time, it's like, you could have brought back some of these mechanics. It probably wouldn't have been that hard to do.
Yeah,
So
I
at
don't
least bring
understand
back
why they
something.
didn't.
I agree.
I don't understand why they
Maybe
didn't bring the SOS and Horde system in the game. It's so
Well,
weird.
maybe not SOS. SOS, I mean, maybe, yeah, SOS, but in terms of, like, even the radar would have been great to bring back, too. Just, like, and have the grass shaking and stuff. That would have been fun to bring back in this game. But yeah, and a lot of the controversy at the beginning that I think a lot of the Sword and Shield hate came from was the lack of the national decks. That was the bigger thing that this game got.
Yep.
And was its big controversy. And to me, that didn't matter too much. I actually did not mind it. I preferred it in terms of competitive battling, but yeah, that's kind of my whole spiel with that.
Yeah,
Sword
there's
and Shield.
definitely like positive and negative to it for sure. The way that I see it, as somebody who's gone through like multiple, like I said, I mean, I've been a fan since Red and Blue in like '96, and I mean, I saw this same thing happen when Black and White came out, and you have people
was
just
gonna
dip
refer to that.
off. Like, people just get a little bit older, and I think right now we live in a lot more of a digital age, and it's a lot easier to voice even a negative opinion or a positive opinion on something, you know, than it was before. So like, somebody started talking about the graphics, and don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and defend the graphics on it, because they should look better than they do. But at the same time, there's a lot of factors that go into that. If we're talking hundreds of Pokemon, especially if they were already planning all these Pokemon that then got released in the DLCs, all the legendaries, and I know they don't scale them properly or whatever it is. I watched a whole bunch of videos on all the graphical stuff, and I totally get being irritated about it, but it got so blown out of proportion. It's not a straight dog crap game. Again, is it the best? No, it's not. Could they do better? Absolutely. They're $1 billion company at this point. Like, they're part of Nintendo. Yes, they could absolutely be doing better, but I'll take it for what it is, and I'm happy about it for the most part.
The thing is, with especially the national decks, now that we've actually, I don't know if the editors will be able to post it on the screen, but with the information that we have had, especially now that we've seen the beta images and the footage, and like people being able to access a beta file from, like, I think it's March 2018 of the Sword and Shield game, you can tell like they had plans to have the 360-degree camera in all the cities and stuff. They had plans for all the Pokemon to be in the base game. It's just like you said, it's a lot on time and whether they can reach these deadlines, and arguably they took the decision to basically say, okay, in order to reach the deadlines given to us by Pokemon Company, we have to just split the release into like push the Pokemon into potential DLCs, figure out a different plan for them, and just release with these 400, 500 Pokemon that we have and roll with it basically.
Well, and I think a lot of people latch onto it as if it's a negative thing, you know. And don't get me wrong, I'm gonna tell you right now, the Isle of Armor was a bit of a negative thing. It kind of sucks that you have to buy the Isle of Armor with the Crown Tundra, because if you could just buy the Crown Tundra for $15, I'd fully defend that. But I think a lot of people get their mind caught up in $30, way more than they should. It's $30. It's not like you're buying a whole separate game. The games are overpriced as it is nowadays. We're going to like $70, $80 for the PS5 and stuff like that. They're too expensive as it is. But it's like a lot of people get so caught up on it, like I'm getting ripped off, and it's like it's only $30, dog. It's okay. Like, I know it's a little bit pricey on certain things and whatever else, but it's not that crazy for what you're getting. Now it's totally worth it. When the Isle of Armor came out, I was on you guys' side. I was like, bro, $30 for this? Like, no, thank you. And don't get me wrong, the Crown Tundra, it's not like you have a million things to do. You're shiny hunting legendaries. That's really about what you're doing. Yeah, and you get
much.
I liked the lore. I thought it was kind of funny. I thought it was kind of goofy with Calyrex. I don't spoil anything and stuff like that. Yeah. But I thought it was kind of funny. Like when I actually played through that, the humor was a little bit better than I've seen from Pokemon in the last couple years. So I have no complaints with that. But I don't expect anything wild. I've never expected anything wild. Even when I played Black and White, it wasn't like, I think a lot of people look back at the lore of Black and White and think that the stuff that's behind the scenes is what the actual story is. And the story is very simple, but there's a lot of things you can dive into if you want to dive further into the lore. But Pokemon's never been like in depth. Like, I'm not reading a Shakespearean novel here. You know, it's like
it's so big. Like, I mean, that used to be. I mean, Gen 3 was literally, oh, I want to make the Earth full of land, and oh, I want to make the Earth full of water. It's as
you get neither.
There's no logic behind it, but it's hilarious.
Black and White had a pretty good story.
Yeah,
no, it did for sure. But what I mean is, it's not like it's in depth or crazy.
I mean, I still maintain Gen 4 and Gen 5 probably had like the best reasoning out of it, all of them.
Yeah, 100%.
But see, like I said, I think we're in the middle right here.
Really questionable.
I think we're in a transitionary period of Pokemon fans right now, like we were when we went to Black and White. How everybody hated Black and White, and now it's absolutely adored. Because when I was like 13, 14, 15, when Black and White came out, people were like, "Oh my god, what is this? Get this! I don't like this. I want to play with my freaking Charizard, bro. Why am I using Unova and Pokemon?" And now people are like, "Oh my god, Black and White's actually my favorite game I've ever played. It's the best Pokemon game." And it's like, bro, y'all hated this like 10 years ago. So I think we're just in the middle of the.
Back then.
I think we're just in the middle of the transitionary period. Like, you're gonna have your people who fall off the franchise, and then we picked up new kids who liked it then, and some of them are falling off now because that's how aging works. Like, you had 8-year-olds when I was 16 who got into the game. You know, 8 years after that, fell off, stopped playing it, whatever
ultimately, I think we all kind of forget sometimes that this game is made for kids.
Oh yeah, that's the end. Yeah, that's the end thing too. Yeah,
that's the thing.
That's always something to remember.
100% was like the demographic was for kids. 100%.
Oh yeah, it always is, and it always should be. I mean, look at what you're doing overall. I don't play it to like. I don't really read the dialogue too much nowadays and stuff.
Like, don't expect too much. But like for gameplay, gameplay, you know, terrain stuff like that. But like in terms of story, it's a kids game, you know.
They should expand on other things. Like we saw, what is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Was it Pokemon Generations? Origins?
Generations.
Yeah, those were all dope, and I liked those a lot. And I mean, especially Generations was like almost like a mini anime. It was just really short. That was cool.
No, they really should touch upon like the adventure stuff, especially the manga side of things, because that's like, and we say, you know, oh, Pokemon is for kids and everything. Like, they have such a good source material with the manga, which is a lot more darker, morbid. You know, some of the stuff that happens in there, like, it's not really a spoilers because this is from like 20 years ago, this part, but an artwork literally gets cut in half midway through the first chapter, first volumes, you know. So there is darker elements, and I wish they took advantage of it, you know, especially when you see even like fans making those ROM hacks where they just follow the actual like manga story, and they're such fun games. It would be appreciated if they touched upon that, you know, made them into anime at times, because that will also help out kind of ease off the pressure of making a new generation when they can rely on their existing source material, which they haven't adapted into an animation format or anything of that sort.
what's your guys' ideal situation for Gen 9? Like, I don't mean like the story and stuff like that. Like, what do you want to see something come back? Do you want to see raids and stuff never show their face again? Like, now we got rid of Z moves and it's like they never existed. It feels like a parallel universe.
Yeah.
What do you guys want?
I think I keep megas. Don't introduce new megas, but bring this new concept of the armored evolutions and kind of make it like a clash between the two.
Isn't that from a ROM hack? Isn't that literally from a ROM hack though?
Is it? No, I just took the concept.
I feel like it is. I feel like I remember a ROM hack with something similar to that.
I think there might be.
Know.
I mean, at this point,
it was like armored
concept.
Pokemon. I don't know if it was armored megas, but it was like armored in general.
Was that Insurgents?
I vividly remember
No,
it.
the only reason I'm saying it because I
it
remember
might have
reading
been
a.
Insurgents. I don't know.
It might be Insurgents actually, yeah. The only reason I'm saying it is because I remember it from a leak, and the only reason I remember it as well is from Digimon because they have some cool concepts over there as well.
Okay, we don't need to be worse from Digimon copying right now, okay?
I mean, at this
We
point,
don't
may
need
as
that.
well. It's concepts. These are just concepts, but you can do armored evolutions for alligator, the Johto starters or something.
Oh,
along
they'll
those lines.
get something. I would imagine. I would think they're gonna
And
get
make it
something
a
coming
clash.
soon.
I'm not saying that don't bring in new megas. I mean, if they want, they can bring in new megas. But I'm saying just as a counter, if they don't want to work on megas or add new megas for some reason. But yeah, that's just my point. I just think raids need to be just modified a bit. I think they can be a lot better. Just give them a lot of HP, remove the shields. That's fine, I think.
My ideal, I want to see a lot more expansion out, like we already talked about. Just a little bit. Like, I thought, I mean, I'm a big Coliseum and XD kind of guy. And like, I even loved Mystery Dungeon when I was a kid. I will tell you, I replayed Mystery Dungeon, the DX one, a couple months ago, and didn't quite feel the same as when I was a little kid. So I don't know how much of an advocate I am for a lot more Mystery Dungeon games, because they definitely don't have the same powerful impact they did. Maybe it was just kind of, it was the first one remade. I'm not sure. But I want to see different types of Pokemon games. Like, whenever I played Coliseum as a kid, that was a different vibe. You know what I mean? Like, you were stealing Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like, it was like they were evil Pokemon. It was just, and then XD came out. XD wasn't as dark. I do like Coliseum more than XD nowadays, but as an actual mechanical wise, it was better for XD and stuff like that. But it was just a different feel. It didn't feel like it was like gnarly, but it was definitely like not generic Pokemon. I do miss that feeling of like, yeah, I'm getting it, dog. I'm stealing this guy's Pokemon. You know, it was just really cool that way. So I want to see more of that kind of stuff. I'm okay with a kind of like kid-friendly, hey, are you going to save the world? Look at that. You're 12 and you just saved everybody. I'm okay. It doesn't bug me. I'm fine with that. Like,
So in terms of like what I want from the 9th gen, like you guys mentioned, obviously I want more wild areas. I think that's the coolest thing that came from Sword and Shield. I want definitely more of that. More character interaction, like fun stuff, you know, like a lot more trainer battles, I miss like the dual battles, even the triple battles were fun. I miss, you know, having more of that, which I completely agree with Gale. Sword and Shield barely had that. Definitely those two things. This might be just a me thing, but do you guys ever miss the bases, like from Platinum?
Secret bases?
Yeah, like from the 3rd and 4th gen. I would love it if they did something like that again.
if they do it right, they definitely got to,
right,
yeah,
exactly.
they definitely got to do it right for me to miss it. Because, or else it was
I
like,
had so much fun with that, like building like my little like houses. And the one thing in 4th gen that they've never done again, which was, I would love it if they do this again one day. It's like you have your own mansion at the end. If I don't know if you
No,
guys remember
yeah.
that was
yeah.
dope. You know, like just definitely a post game. I get it. I mean, with time restraints and stuff like that, it's harder for them to get stuff in. But I would definitely just like them to make a game with more areas, more battles, and just a better fun post game. That is the ideal thing. If they don't want to do a national dex, it's completely cool. I don't have an issue with that as long as they do, you know, all the newer games that come out have Pokemon from past games that weren't like on Sword and Shield. Like the next one would have Feraligatr, you know, and then you could trade it to maybe Sword and Shield one day, and just kind of stuff like that. It's what I'm hoping for.
well,
they
Hydros
don't
wants to
have
hear
to
more.
put
The
it
next one is based around Feraligatr. He wants more like that.
Yeah.
Not
I don't
so
need
much.
1,000 Pokemon in one game to make me happy, is what I'm trying to
I mean,
say.
we got like 900 in this one, or 800 in this one, didn't we? Like 810 or something? We're only missing like
Yep.
70 or something at the end, which, yeah, granted, it did cost $90 to get to that point, but like Hydro said, you're not losing out. It's just losing out the opportunity to catch them with your OT, but then you just get them from a friend and breed it, so you're good.
Yeah, no, it's true, man. It's true. So that's all I had to say. We haven't heard about the big man over there. What's going on with you, Hydros?
You want more Reggies or what?
I mean, I'm glad that we got new Reggie. It's been a while since fourth gen we got Reggie Gigas. Was it fourth or fifth? I can't remember at this point. Yeah, I would like to see wild areas, but instead of that, remove that. Like I said, remove that online crap from the wild area. Remove it all. Instead, make the Pokemon game entirely open world. Like you can go around, you can choose and pick and choose what gyms you want to go to, instead of just, you know, a linear going experience. Like let us choose, hey, I want to go to the grass gym next, and then whenever you face these certain gyms, it actually does scale to what the next gym is supposed to be, right? So like, you know, level, like your first badge, and then you build like level 15, 20, whatever, and then second gym that you go to, it'll scale it to 25, 30, you know, etc., and keep going on, and then the Elite Four and all that kind of stuff. I like Sun and Moon's, like the creativeness that they did with the trials. I mean, it was kind of like gyms, but it was way easier at sometimes. I did like the trials. They were real fun. Add those in, maybe like add those in along the way, like, you know, like side quests. Add those in, and you know, you complete these, you get like a certain little prize for completing all these, or something like that. Maybe you get like a Pokemon, unlock a Tapu area, or a Reggie area, Reggie Rock, Reggie Giga, something or another. It'd be really cool.
Yeah, no, I think they did a really good. I don't dislike Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon. We were talking about right before the call. Our general consensus is that they were just back to back, and it was just too much Alola for like 2.5 years. That it was like, bro, I don't want to play through Alola again. Like
it doesn't help that the start of the games for both versions and ended up being like 2-3 hour long.
So long to get to that dang school, man.
I think I did a Nuzlocke sometime at the start of last year or end of last year, I think it was, and I was like, I've not left the first island and it's been nearly 4.5 hours. How have I not left this freaking place?
That was the issue. But once they stop holding your hand, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are actually really good games, and I can totally say that. But really, Sun and Moon should have just been that, and then we just went from there. Like, we went to Let's Go like normal, whatever. But they gotta have a game every year, and they were like, we're not quite ready yet, just make another one. Well, no, change the story, change the ending, though. Like, they took someone's homework, and they were like, just make sure you change the ending. You're gonna be fighting a Crozma instead.
That's the weird thing. I don't want to get into that topic, but it's just like so weird that they pushed for Sun and Moon so much, because that's the reason why we didn't end up getting the third part to X and Y, was because they were like, oh, we need to move to the Switch, release Sun and Moon.
Well, you know, here, how about this? We'll do a good segue to that then. We're gonna call this video here because we're over half an hour. Yeah. But if you guys want us to make videos on stuff like that, we want to talk about the 4th gen remakes, you want us to talk about games like Coliseum, you want us to talk about really anything Pokemon related, like he just said Zygarde. Like, why did Zygarde get left out of stuff? Let us know down below. Make sure you click a like, subscribe to the channel, and right now we're doing raids over on Twitch for playing Pokemon. But if you guys want to see more Pokemon stuff, I can almost guarantee the people in this call are 100% down. We also got like Indakuba as well.
Maybe versus Soul Link, maybe? Who knows?
Yeah, there's a lot of things we got opportunities to do and stuff like that. So if you want to see that, the best way you can do it is leave a like down below and let us know in the comment section what you want to see. Our minds are open. You can tell on this channel we talk about everything. But either way, we're going to wrap this video up because, like I said, we're over half an hour. We appreciate you guys for coming through. Make sure you check out the description down below. We got links to everybody's Twitter. Check them out. Subscribe to 59Gaming, and we'll catch you guys around.
See you guys later.